Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Ascension podcast. This is episode number 7. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I'd like to thank everyone who has emailed me with feedback and rated and subscribed in all the different listening platforms you can find this podcast. It's all been really positive, and I'm happy to report that the numbers so far are higher than I even thought they would be, at least in this point of the show. And I'm really excited to move forward, and just wanted to let you know that I'm in this for the long haul. So hopefully you will join me, and maybe this is something that will impact your life in a positive way for a long time to come. Anyway, let's get into it. So in today's episode, I wanted to talk about something I feel is really important, because I know that there are so many different kinds of light workers and old souls who are serving and healing the planet and the collective in their own very, very unique and special way. Many of whom don't even realize that they're old souls or light workers yet, and maybe they never will, and that's something that's kind of crazy to me. Something I believe that most of us, if not all of us, have in common is heightened empathic abilities. Now, when I was a kid, I remember if someone was feeling bad, if someone was angry, if someone was, even disappointed in something, I absorbed and felt that energy as if it was my own. And I had no clue what this was, or that it was even something that everyone didn't have. And it was only a few years ago that I discovered what this really was, what it could turn into, and how to transform it from a burden into a powerful tool that can be used responsibly and appropriately. Because it really is a special gift when you educate yourself and learn how to use it properly. And the sooner you identify that you have this gift, that you have this ability, and realize that it's not something that everyone else has been given the responsibility to carry, you allow yourself to take control of it, and then it then becomes a powerful weapon for you to wield against lower dimensional, lower vibrational energies that try to approach you throughout the day. Because the truth is, we're exposed more than ever to negative things. There's a lot of craziness, there's a lot of bad blood and old energy on the planet that is coming up for healing. And even if you do your best to create a controlled environment, something can still pop up in your path that could potentially set you back if you don't have the right mindset to deal with it. And I just want to tell you right now, something I see a lot. I see a lot of empaths out there that think taking on the burdens of others is what they're supposed to be doing. If you're someone who sees someone who's in pain, someone who's going through a difficult time, it's not your job, it's not your purpose to take on that energy and share it with them. And just to make sure I'm clear about that, what they're going through is their own. That's their own path. That energy that they're existing in, and whatever circumstance they find themselves in that may be unfavorable, that's between them and their higher self. So if you see them and then you yourself drop down into that frequency where they are and take on the baggage that they carry, you've just duplicated that situation. You've just duplicated that lower energy. And unfortunately, that's not the correct way to use this gift. And yes, the world would be a much better place if people could see someone going through a traumatic situation or who are suffering some kind of pain and put themselves in their shoes. But there is a right way and a wrong way to do it. And as an old soul, that's where you come in. Because you know about the quantum energies, you know about generating light and transmuting darkness just based on the power of your intent. And chances are you've been doing this for a while, and you already know that these lower vibrational energies are very good at what they do. And if they get a hold of you and they suck you in, it can then take you a little bit of time to peel that back off of you. So it's important the next time you encounter one of these energies, you take out that sort of light. That is the knowledge that you carry. That is who you are, what you came here to do. And you chop that energy down before it has a chance. And then at that point, you completely regain the position of power to then do your work as an old soul. And the most effective way to do that is to bring forward the energy from a quantum timeline, from a now moment that is in alignment with a more positive energy that's going to help clear away some of the fog and initiate the healing process on an accelerated timeline. And let me just give an example here without getting too crazy. Let's say you see someone who is in distress because maybe they lost their dog. Maybe their dog got lost, he ran away for some reason, and they're struggling. They're sad, they're unsure that they're ever going to see this animal that they love again. Instead of you seeing that situation and taking on that sadness as your own, amplifying it, turn within, use your third eye to open a portal to a timeline where this person has been reunited with this animal that they love. Let the emotions come through that portal of relief and satisfaction and overwhelming joy that this situation has been resolved in a positive way and all parties have moved forward in peace beyond the uncertainty and the sadness that was there before. Can you see how powerful those energies you just created are? And because of the focus of your intent, they're going to be directed right at the person who's in that scenario. And then you need to walk away being impartial to whatever results manifest from there. And this is important because maybe this person has the reunion with their dog. Maybe that dog never returns. Whatever the result may be, all you have to do is contribute your energy in a positive way so that the healing process or the transition into whatever energy comes next for them is much easier and much more geared towards a higher outcome so that the energy of pain and loss doesn't stick around as long as it wants to, and instead make more room for having that positive experience to begin with. But it is a tricky balance. It is a delicate frequency to hold. But if you can remove yourself from whatever lower dimensional situation unfolds or presents itself to you and stand back and kind of observe from a scientific overview, you're then going to start to unlock more complex and more complicated energy tools for you to wield going forward. Because I do believe that most of you out there are destined to become energy healers, are destined to become readers for people to come to you who need healing, and you can do so in a direct, impartial way. For people to come to you for guidance on what path and what direction should they take, or how to get out of a certain circumstance that they no longer find desirable. If this becomes your path, if this becomes your trade, if it's your goal, if you are dealing with people on a daily basis and taking on the energy that they're bringing to you, you're going to get consumed, you're going to get overwhelmed, and it's not going to be something you're going to be able to sustain for any long amount of time. You'll get burned out. It'll be really easy for you to get drained, and then you're not really helping anybody. But until you step into this calling, it's really important at this time that you fine-tune your skill and make sure that your multidimensional instruments are sharpened and ready to do the work, so that when the time comes and the opportunity presents itself and the motivation comes forward, you're already prepared to go. You already have your bags packed and you're just ready to hit the road, and you're actually excited for what's about to come and not anxious or unprepared. And if you approach the situations that pop up throughout your day in a quantum way, you're just letting your higher self know that you're ready to take on anything, and that there's nothing that can derail you, nothing that can bother you, nothing that can deter you from becoming the master that you came here to be. And this is something I work on and practice every day. I don't hate my job. I don't love it. I really like the people there, and I feel like the company has a strong value system, and they actually care and take pride in the product that they offer. But one adjustment that was really, really difficult when I started working there is there's so many people. We're interacting and dealing with and absorbing energy from maybe hundreds of employees at a time. And that work environment, as good as it is, people just in general don't really want to be there. They don't want to get up in the morning and do some repetitive task just to make whatever amount of money they're making. So just in general, there's a lot of negative energy and there's a lot of sadness there. And it took me a little while to adjust. But once I sort of took a step back and saw it as an opportunity to sharpen my skills, I can now throughout the day sit back and observe all different kinds of energies. And I never approach people and talk about that kind of stuff. It's just kind of my own personal observation. For example, the other day, last week actually, I was alone in an area and this kid walked past me and I just felt sadness in this huge, just a wave crashing over me. And I didn't take that on personally, but I was able to recognize it so easily. And I just remember thinking, wow, this kid just lost somebody. Something happened because it was more than the just the general unsatisfaction of being at work. It felt like more of a fresh wound. And then this other girl that I work more closely with, we were chatting a little bit, and she mentioned that kid. And it's funny because we never talked about him before, but she says, I feel like there's something off with him. He's usually really friendly and talks to me a lot, but, hasn't really communicated with me in the last couple weeks. And she says, I think he's mad at me. And I'm like, no, I don't feel like he's mad at you. Maybe if you just go talk to him, you'll figure out what's going on. And then she did. She went and talked to him. She was talking to him for a little while, probably a half hour or so. And I moved on and kind of forgot about it. And then later that afternoon, the girl comes back to me and says, oh, I talked to him and apparently his girlfriend broke up with him. And I just sort of sat back and like, okay, that makes sense. Because any of you know who have gone through breakups, it's a really devastating process, especially if it's a one-sided thing. And apparently he really wanted to be with this girl, but she wasn't into it any longer. And so that was kind of the end of that. But I know a lot of you right now are at jobs that maybe you don't want to be at. You can kind of see that there are greater things coming, that there's a higher purpose that you are reaching towards that doesn't really involve working for someone else. And you know that there's things coming that are going to allow you to be more independent. But something you can do in the meantime is see that environment you're in currently as an opportunity to observe and to practice for what's coming next. Because there are skills from your Akashic records, there are solutions to issues that you're having that exist in your field. Your higher self and your team is just sort of waiting for you to be in the right mind space in order to bring those things forward to you. And if you can be somewhere that you don't want to be, we all know that being balanced is the name of the game. And if you can maintain that balance and be peaceful while doing something that's not necessarily part of the long-term plan, your higher self's going to see that as an opportunity to give you more because you've shown the patience and the maturity that it takes to manifest whatever's next for you in a responsible, respectful way. But if you're sad, frustrated, dwelling in the lower chakras, they are going to just sit behind you with their arms folded and say, anytime now. But once you do reach that balanced state, the challenge from there is going to be maintaining it. Because being an empath is more than just seeing things out in the world and dealing with them in the appropriate way. You and I both know that people are going to start coming to you with their problems and issues. Because they can see that you have a compassionate energy. They can see that you have the wisdom to offer a piece of advice that's going to help them deal with whatever they're dealing with. And honestly, that's fine. You can be there for people. You can be there for a stranger. You can be there for your loved ones. But the same rule applies. You don't have to make their problem your own. And the positive energy that you can generate is far more powerful than any of that negative energy that they might throw at you. But you have to be disciplined and you have to be prepared for the unknown and ready for surprises that might present themselves. Because really, as an old soul, you're training like a professional athlete. You're dedicating your entire life to expanding yourself and honing these multidimensional skills and these quantum energies that are going to help everyone going forward. Because we are here to break barriers. We're here to do things that no one has ever done. We are here to bridge the gap between heaven on earth and create a reality where magic is normal and accepted. And the children that are coming to the earth at this time will exist in a very different place than we are today. One that reflects the values of the ancients and the indigenous who spent every moment of every day contemplating the existence, contemplating who they really were, and honoring the earth that we inhabit and those who came before, and acknowledging the plan and the systems that are in place. Let us capture that energy. Let us hold on to it and carry it forward in a way that's going to make this earth experience more peaceful and more beneficial to all of our brothers and sisters who share this space with us. And one thing I said I was going to do last episode but forgot to do at the beginning of this episode was just take a second to acknowledge the spiritual team, your higher self, and the ancestors who are here with you. So let's now take that moment to appreciate and say thank you for the now moment that we're experiencing together. Thank you for doing that. And if you hear the kids in the background walking home from school, they are all really happy, and I feel like that's an energy that we could all use a little bit more of. So I appreciate that energy they contributed. Anyways, thank you for joining me for episode 7. If you would like to contribute monetarily to this podcast to help us go forward, links in the description for that. You can also email me anytime to tell me about your own experience, and if this podcast has made a difference to you, go ahead and do that. I love to hear from you guys. The episodes have just sort of naturally turned out to be about 20 minutes long. I'm not sure if people think that's too long or too short. I'm going to put out a poll on YouTube and see what you guys think, but they've just kind of naturally turned out to be 20 minutes. I could make them a little longer pretty easily. I would have to come up with a few segments. I kind of had that in mind anyway, but none of those have really gotten past the idea stage. But yeah, for this episode, we're just gonna call it good, go relax for the rest of the day, and I hope you do the same. Friday's episode is going to be about lucid dreaming, which happens to be one of my favorite subjects. And I think it's something that's really important to dig into and learn about, because a lot of us are processing so much information through our dream time that it can be a little overwhelming. Unless you educate yourself and you know what's going on, then it's just kind of part of the process. So thank you for being here today, and I will see you then. And good luck out there, and remember to keep it simple. Because all this awakening and ascension stuff can seem like a lot to take in. But if you just take things day by day, trust the process, trust your team around you, and know that you're going to be in the right place at the right time, it all becomes really simple. Picking up a little bit here and a little bit there, pretty soon you're going to wind up with a really strong foundation that's going to propel you forward in a really special way. Anyway, thank you very much, and we will see you next time.